Gather close, for what we are about to dissect is not merely the aftermath of a contest, but the revelation of a masterpiece crafted in the shadowed corners of subtle strategy, patience, and profound understanding. This was never a simple clash of wills or a battle of brute force. No, this was a high-stakes performance, a delicate ballet of manipulation and counter-manipulation, where the true genius lay not in the bluster, but in the unseen architecture of the mind. They believed they were the protagonists. Oh, how they convicted themselves of their own brilliance. They saw themselves as the brilliant directors of this entire production, holding the script in their trembling hands, the director's chair firmly beneath their arrogant posteriors. Their confidence was a blinding halo, obscuring the reality of their own meticulously constructed illusions. They began, didn't they? With such dazzling certainty, a certainty that bordered on delusional. They thought their tactics, the venomous whispers meant to poison your reputation, the calculated mind games designed to fracture your focus, the bursts of calculated cruelty intended to provoke a reaction, were not just effective, but infallible. They viewed your measured responses not as signs of deep thought or strategic planning, but as confused stumbles. Your willingness to listen, to engage with their arguments, they mistook for naivety, a sign of weakness they could exploit. And the deep, almost bottomless reservoir of your patience, they saw that not as a strength, but as a crippling, exploitable vulnerability. A slow burn they could stoke until you cracked. They saw you as a chess piece on their grand board, a mere obstacle to be swept aside with disdain as they charted their triumphant, imagined path to victory. They thought they held the blueprint, the final word, the absolute control. They were convinced they were in the final act of their brilliant play, poised to deliver the coup de grace. But they were utterly, devastatingly, catastrophically wrong. The grand truth, the secret they were never fated to uncover, the truth that shimmered just beyond their grasp, was this. You were never scrambling to catch up. You were not merely 10 steps ahead. You were the architect of the entire edifice of this interaction. While they busied themselves setting up their flimsy, transparent traps, each one a monument to their own hubris, you had already charted the full, inevitable trajectory of their downfall. You watched their every predictable move with the detached observation of a master strategist. You registered every hollow bluff, every manipulative twist, every desperate ploy, not with anger, but with cold, calculating precision. You saw the precise moment, down to the fraction of a second, when they would walk themselves into the very corner they had meticulously designed for you. They were performing an intricate, self-congratulatory dance of control, completely, utterly, blinded by their own ego. They believed they were pulling the strings. But in reality, the strings they thought they were pulling were, in fact, tethered back to their own fragile, crumbling hubris. You were the unseen hand, the quiet conductor, guiding their every step towards the precipice they had never even suspected existed. And now, the air has shifted. The stage lights that once illuminated their self-congratulatory performance have dimmed. The spotlight of their perceived dominance has flickered and died. They are the ones left scrambling in the sudden, disorienting darkness of confusion. The control they craved, that they were so certain they possessed with such blinding conviction, has not been taken from them through a violent struggle or a dramatic confrontation. Number. It has simply dissolved. It has evaporated, like mist under the noonday sun. It faded away slowly, steadily, inevitably, leaving behind only the hollow echo of their own hollow claims. They stand amidst the shattered fragments of their carefully constructed plans, desperately trying to pinpoint the exact fatal flaw in their execution. They search frantically for the moment where the power slipped, where the control fractured. They will never find it. Why? Because you never relinquished it. You simply allowed them to exhaust every single tactic, every manipulative twist, every ounce of their volatile, frantic energy, until they were spent, hollowed out, leaving them with nothing but empty hands and a bewildered stare that reflects the utter vacuum where their confidence once resided. They waited for you to fight. Oh, how they yearned for it. They wanted the chaos, the desperate, screaming confrontation. They craved the sight of you breaking down, validating their strength with your tears, your anguish, your defeat. They wanted to drown you in the very chaos they had tried so desperately to create. Instead, you gave them a profound, unshakable calm, a stillness that was not passive, but active, deliberate, and deeply powerful. They wanted to see you shatter. You stood there unbothered, composed to your very core, and utterly whole. They tried to drag you down into the mire of their petty games, to ensnare you in the web of their deceit. But you simply rose above it all. You floated above the filth, leaving them alone to choke on the very dust and fumes of their own spent schemes. The game board is now theirs, but it is covered in the ruins of their own making. They are left with the bitter, agonizing taste of their own manipulation, a haunting, inescapable regret that will linger far longer than any fleeting victory. It is a regret that will seep into their bones, a constant, corrosive reminder of their failure. They are left with nothing but questions, a torrent of whys and hows that will haunt their every waking moment and echo in the hollow silence of their nights. And not a single answer is in sight. The answers died with their own arrogance. The true torment lies not just in their defeat, but in the crushing realization that they never truly saw you. They saw only a projection, a shallow reflection of the person they desired to manipulate and control. They failed to perceive the formidable depth of your resilience, the quiet, unyielding strength that made you impervious to their shallow tricks, their emotional blackmail, their hollow threats. They are now haunted by the figure you presented, the carefully curated self you allowed them to see, the mask that served its purpose perfectly. And they are now tormented by the terrifying specter of the person they never reached, the true depth and power that lay just beneath the surface, unseen and unassailable. Every word, every interaction, every moment they thought was an act of dominance is now being agonizingly re-examined. Each memory is a shard of glass, cutting into their pride, leaving them with the crushing question of who you really are. And the answer, of course, is a mystery they can never solve. You left them with no parting shot, no fiery outburst, no dramatic slammed door, no bitter words, just an eloquent, deafening silence. A departure so clean, so final, it left no ripple, no clue, no anchor for their desperate, floundering minds to grasp. In their world, silence was the mark of submission, the sign of defeat. But your silence, the quiet grace of your exit, was a definitive act of defiance. It was a final, powerful statement that echoed far louder, far more profoundly than any argument, any scream, any confrontation could ever hope to be. It was the ultimate weapon, the absence of engagement, the refusal to play their game any longer. They are left alone, trapped in the cage of their own making, a cage built brick by their own boundless arrogance, their own insatiable hunger for control. They are wrestling with the terrifying truth of their own powerlessness, forever attempting to reconstruct the pieces of a control they never truly held, a dominance that was always an illusion. They will continue their futile search, trying to fill the hollow void you left, hoping to regain that sense of dominance, that illusion of power. They will grasp at straws, at new schemes, at new targets, desperate to feel the ghost of control they once thought they possessed. But deep down, in the quiet, desperate hours of the night, when the noise of the world fades and the mask of confidence slips, they know it's a lost cause. They know the only one who truly understood the game, the only one who could have given meaning to their hollow charades, the only one who saw the entire board, has definitively left the building. They are abandoned in the wreckage of their own making, and you simply walk away, unbothered, untethered, free. You shed the weight of their games, their expectations, their toxic energy, like shedding a heavy coat. You move on, not with a sense of victory that needs shouting, but with the quiet certainty of having played your part to perfection. You leave them alone with the very chaos they had tried so desperately to drown you in. The chaos is now theirs, and theirs alone. The stage is empty except for them, standing in the dim light of their own failed spotlight, surrounded by the debris of their own undoing. And as you walk into the bright, unburdened future, you carry with you not a trophy, but the profound peace of knowing you were never the pawn. They were. The masterpiece was yours, written in the language of patience, strategy, and silent, unyielding strength. The final curtain has fallen, and the true brilliance of your performance remains, echoing in the silence they can never fill. But what becomes of them now? Their existence, once so meticulously curated, so carefully orchestrated around the perceived control they wielded over you, is now a desolate landscape. The void you left isn't merely an absence, it's a palpable presence, a constant gnawing reminder of their profound miscalculation. Their world, once defined by the power dynamics they so ruthlessly sought to dominate, is now eerily silent, a stage stripped bare of its props and actors. They will, undoubtedly, attempt to rebuild. Their bruised egos, fueled by a desperate need to reclaim their lost dominance, will drive them to seek new targets, new arenas for their manipulative machinations. They might even convince themselves, for a fleeting moment, that they have learned from their mistakes, that they are now wiser, more cunning, better equipped to succeed in their twisted games. But the ghost of you will linger. It will be a subtle whisper in the back of their minds, a persistent unease that undermines their every move. They will forever be second-guessing their strategies, haunted by the fear that they are once again walking into a carefully laid trap, a trap they are too blind to see. Their relationships, once built on a foundation of calculated control and thinly veiled self-interest, will begin to crumble. The people around them, those who were once easily manipulated pawns in their games, will start to see them in a new light. They will sense the desperation beneath the facade of confidence, the vulnerability hidden behind the mask of power. They will, slowly but surely, begin to distance themselves, unwilling to be drawn into the vortex of their toxic ambition. The irony, of course, is that their relentless pursuit of control has ultimately led to their own isolation. They sought to manipulate and dominate others in order to feel powerful, to validate their own sense of self-worth. But in doing so, they have alienated themselves from genuine connection, from the warmth and intimacy of true human relationships. They are now trapped in a gilded cage of their own making, surrounded by the trappings of power, but devoid of the true riches of life. They might try to find solace in material possessions, in the fleeting pleasures of wealth and status. But these things will offer only a temporary distraction, a superficial balm for the deep, gaping wound of their wounded pride. The emptiness within them will continue to grow, fueled by the knowledge that they have sacrificed everything, their integrity, their relationships, their very humanity, in the pursuit of a hollow and ultimately meaningless goal. And what of their nights? The silence will be deafening. The replays of their every interaction with you will become an obsessive loop, a relentless torment that denies them any peace. They will dissect every word, every gesture, every nuance of your behavior, searching for clues, for answers, for some explanation for their humiliating defeat. But the more they analyze, the more confused and frustrated they will become. The mystery of you will only deepen, becoming an unsolvable puzzle that consumes their thoughts and steals their sleep. They will, in their darkest moments, be forced to confront the truth about themselves. They will see the ugliness of their own manipulation, the callousness of their actions, the profound lack of empathy that has driven them to treat others as mere objects to be used and discarded. They will, perhaps, even feel a flicker of remorse, a pang of regret for the pain they have caused. But this moment of self-awareness will be fleeting, quickly replaced by a renewed sense of self-pity and resentment. They will blame you, of course, for their downfall, for forcing them to confront the darkness within themselves. They will cling to the illusion that they are the victims, that you are the one who is truly to blame. Ultimately, they are condemned to a life of perpetual dissatisfaction, a never-ending cycle of manipulation and disappointment. They will forever be searching for the missing piece, the key to unlocking the power they so desperately crave. But the key, of course, lies not in controlling others, but in controlling themselves. It lies in embracing vulnerability, in cultivating empathy, in seeking genuine connection with the world around them. But these are lessons they are unlikely to ever learn. They are trapped in the prison of their own ego, forever blinded by their own arrogance. And as for you, you will continue to thrive. You will use the strength and resilience you have gained from this experience to build a life of purpose, meaning, and joy. You will surround yourself with people who appreciate you for who you are, people who value authenticity and integrity. You will learn to trust your instincts, to set boundaries, to protect yourself from those who seek to manipulate and control you. You will become an even stronger, wiser, more compassionate version of yourself. The scars of this encounter will fade, leaving behind only a faint reminder of the challenges you have overcome and the strength you have found within. And as you look back on this chapter of your life, you will do so not with bitterness or resentment, but with a profound sense of gratitude for the lessons you have learned, and the person you have become. The game is over, and you have won not just a victory, but a life. But time, relentless and impartial, will continue its slow, inexorable march, carving truth into the landscape of their existence. Days will turn into nights, nights into seasons, and with every passing cycle, their illusion of control will wither further, like paint peeling from a forgotten wall. The echoes of their former grandeur will grow fainter, their names whispered less often, until even their own reflections fail to recognize the hollow shells staring back. They will move through crowded rooms and still feel utterly unseen, surrounded by people yet untouched by any real connection. And every so often, when they catch a fleeting glimpse of someone who carries themselves with quiet assurance, that same serenity they once tried to destroy in you, their breath will falter. A pulse of unease will ripple through them, a haunting déjà vu that drags them back to the moment their empire of deception began to crumble. They will try to outrun that ghost, bury it beneath layers of distraction, but it will always find them in the silence between their triumphs. It will whisper in their ears as they chase fleeting pleasures, reminding them that every new scheme is built atop the bones of an old failure. Their laughter will sound forced, their victories hollow, for beneath the surface lies the unspoken truth, that the only real game that ever mattered has already been played, and they lost. No amount of manipulation, wealth, or recognition can fill that void, because what they sought to possess was never something external. It was a reflection of something they lacked within themselves: authenticity, purpose, and peace. In contrast, your life will unfold like a quiet symphony of balance and grace. You will move through the world with an ease born not of arrogance, but of understanding. Every interaction will be deliberate, every silence purposeful. You will know the weight of your words, the power of restraint, and the rare beauty of composure. Where others seek validation through chaos, you will find fulfillment in stillness. The peace they mistook for weakness will become your greatest weapon, a force so profound it bends every storm around it. The world, once sharp and hostile, will seem softer now, not because it has changed, but because you have mastered the art of seeing through its illusions. There will be moments when the memory of what they did flickers back, unbidden, faint ghosts rising from the embers of your past. But instead of anger, you will feel distance, an almost divine detachment. You will realize that they never truly had the power to hurt you. They only exposed what was already unbreakable within you. Every attempt to wound, to provoke, to dismantle you was, in fact, a chisel, carving you into something rarer. An individual whose power lies not in dominance, but in transcendence. You were never in a war with them. You were in a process of refinement. They were not your enemies, merely the fire that tested your metal and proved it pure. And now, as the curtain falls not just on this act, but on the entire theater of their illusion, the silence that follows is not emptiness. It is truth. A truth so absolute, it requires no defense, no explanation, no applause. The masterpiece stands complete. You need not sign your name, for the echo of your restraint is signature enough. Their story ends in noise. Yours begins in peace. And somewhere, far beyond the reach of their regret, you smile. Not in triumph, but in knowing. For in the quiet architecture of your patience, you have done what they never could. You have mastered yourself, and in doing so, mastered the world. If this message touched something inside you, take a moment to let it sink in. You've come a long way, and every step has shaped the person you're becoming. If you felt that, make sure to like, share, and subscribe to Rise and Shine. Every bit of support helps this light reach more people who need it. And if you'd like to go deeper, to be part of this journey, you can become a member or donate to support the channel. Together, we rise, quietly, powerfully, and with purpose.